Let's say you just got a 3D pen and want to make a quick small sculpture with some basic tools you can find around your house on day one. To keep things as simple as possible, we are going to make an intentionally furry texture, so we don't have to smooth, sand, prime, paint, or do some other time-consuming finishing tasks, which you may not have the tools for yet anyway. Let's start with the head. I am going to do some strategic smoothing while the plastic is still hot, on just a few selected parts that really require it, like eyes, nose, and maybe the inside of the ears. If you like, you can make the eyeballs white, if you feel like changing the filament color back and forth. Everywhere else, we'll put an intentional fur texture like so. Now it's time to stop and think. I will want to shape the next part while it's still hot, so I will have to have a plan, my next tool ready, and move quickly, because I only have about 15 seconds before the plastic stiffens again. Okay, ready, go! Done. Now you can relax. Let it cool. Think about it. And get ready for the next rush. Okay, ready, go! Now you can relax and work at your own pace. Until it's time to rush again and form this curve quickly before the line hardens. And when it's hard, you have time to ponder if the curve is big enough. And if it's not, just retrace the curve with your pen and it will soften again and give you a second chance to get it right. And then just repeat until you have enough curves to define the shape. Put in some network and then some fur on top. Another option is to put a customized Play-Doh shape in that spot and work over it. And then remove it before you go on to making the lower jaw. I like to make temporary eyes with a washable marker, for reasons which we'll go into in a minute. Here are two almost finished dog heads, and as you can see, it's pretty easy to vary your animal characters depending on how you shape the snout. Now we'll need bodies to connect them to. I will make a couple of curves to get us off the ground into the third dimension, even though I'm planning to edit some of these lines out later. By the way, your surface has to be quite adhesive for this to work. There is a surface update video in the description that deals with that, if you need to know what I mean. mentioned earlier, I'm going to smooth the inside of the ears to provide some textural variety to this animal. Making smooth components is easy, provided they are relatively small. If you wish, you can also make the inside of the ears a different color. Just make sure your smoothing tool is silicone and not just any old plastic, so you don't melt it. Now there are some imperfections around the edges, so I'm going to trim that off. One side is now perfectly smooth, and the other shows some faint layer lines, but I'm going to hide those with the fur. Therefore, when I mount them to the head, I need to make sure the smooth side faces the front of the animal. Since the ear is pretty thin layer of plastic, I can resoften it with nothing but the pen itself, without using any other auxiliary heat sources which you may not have yet. The fur I put on the ear heats it up and makes it pliable for enough time to reshape it to attach it to the head. There's not much time, so I will work only 1/2 of the shape at a time and bend the tip of the ear forward later. Don't try to do too big a piece all at once, or it will harden on you before you get to all of it. This dog is still missing a rib cage and the front of the neck. Time to yank him off the work surface and work on the tummy, inside of the legs, and whatever else needs evening out. The placement of the eyes makes or breaks the personality of the critter. Therefore, you may need to give it some forethought and try a few options to see what works the best. Here is where the temporary eyes made with the washable marker come in, because you can wash them off and try a few different placements before you commit to the real thing. Pinch the nose to smooth it, but wear a work glove, it's hot. Done! A small sculpture in under an hour. You can also go from here, smooth it with a soldering tool, sand it, and give it completely different finish if you wish. But be advised, you are committing to considerable amounts of additional work and time. Should you want to make an animal sculpture that is a bit bigger, you may consider working over clay support to maintain the ultimate control of the overall shape. Here's a video about that process. Until next time, go and make something.